In the dead of night, a deep roar tore through the silence of the jungle. A massive herd of wild boars, led by a fierce alpha male, charged out of the darkness, tearing up farmlands, trampling young corn and rice fields, leaving behind chaos and destruction. Terrified villagers didn't dare step outside. We got the call and headed out immediately, guns loaded, traps packed. This wasn't just another hunt. It was a mission to protect the peace of this land and the people who live here. One wrong move could cost us our lives. Come with us. The hunt begins. Wild boars have one peculiar habit. Few ever notice it. They always follow the same beaten paths between their feeding grounds and hiding spots. Every night, the herd retraces that route, slipping through dark thickets, crossing creeks in search of food. That instinct, that repetition can be their downfall. At dawn, we were already on the move. Then we saw them, a large herd in the open. A propane charge went off with a thunderous blast. The herd panicked, scattering wildly into the deep forest. In that frenzy, their sense of direction vanished. We knew, if we didn't act fast, this wasn't just about a few trampled crops. It could turn into a disaster. We split up, each man taking a familiar zone. I moved toward the oak forest. Fresh claw marks and hoof prints told me I was close. Alone, I crept deeper in, gun ready, every step deliberate. The smell of upturned soil lingered. They were near. Then a rustle. A dark shadow burst from the brush like lightning. No time to think. I raised my rifle, fired. One shot. It dropped instantly. I stepped closer. No movement. Clean. Precise. When you hunt alone, there's no room for mistakes. It's kill or be killed. My barrel was still warm when I spotted fresh tracks, the alphas. All day we tracked them. Finally, the moment came. I climbed to higher ground and waited. Then, crashing through the brush, the entire herd surged past, like a wave of muscle and fury. I aimed, squeezed the trigger. The bullet flew true, hit the alpha square. It collapsed. The herd broke apart, vanished into the woods. It was over in seconds. One clean shot. Miss it, and you might not live to tell the story. After a short rest, I pushed deeper into the forest. The trees closed in, shadows thickened. Then, a lone boar appeared, staggering, unaware of my presence. I steadied my aim, breath held. When the moment came, I fired. The boar dropped before it could even react. In hunting, victory belongs to those who stay calm under pressure. That's what years of experience teach you. Hours later, while regrouping with the team near the forest edge, my instincts kicked in. Something was moving. A rumble of hooves shook the ground. The herd again. I gripped my rifle tight, aimed for the leaders. Several clean hits. A few dropped. The rest veered off into the dark, fleeing back to the deep woods. Every shot was a warning. Stay away from our land. We hadn't wiped them all out, but tonight, the villagers could finally sleep in peace. After tracking all day, we spotted the alpha wandering alone. I signaled John. We took position. The beast emerged from the brush, wounded, unaware. I motioned, fired. The bullet hit true. The boar staggered, tried to escape, but John was already there, cutting off its path. It ended in seconds. Patience and coordination. Those are what separate hunters from amateurs. Every move matters. Late in the afternoon, when the hunt seemed over, I heard movement again. A faint rustle, steady steps. Through the thinning trees, the final boar appeared. Before I could raise my rifle, my teammate took the shot, clean and decisive. The beast fell, still forever. No more threats. We approached to confirm. Silence. The forest was calm again. We weren't just hunters. We were guardians protecting the fields, the forests, and the quiet lives of those who depend on them, keeping the balance between man and nature.
My mother's sweet potato field in Texas looks like a battlefield. The earth torn up, churned into a chaotic mess. Culprits? None other than wild hogs, mercilessly ravaging everything in sight. We knew we had to act. What would be the outcome of this life-or-death showdown? Join us and find out. Before we started, we spent all day yesterday scouting the area, marking water sources, automatic feeders, and the countless hog trails crisscrossing the land. Knowing the terrain was key to picking the perfect ambush spots. This morning, dressed in camo that blends perfectly with the environment and wearing quiet, specialized boots, we did a final check. Radios, rifles loaded, and the pickup truck ready in the rear. Our first spot was an old forest where multiple trails intersect. The wind was blowing against us, masking our scent. Suddenly, Chris gave the hand signal to freeze. Through my scope, my heart skipped a beat. A massive wild hog was rooting behind a huge tree. Man, this beast must have weighed over 400 pounds. The initial shock quickly sharpened into intense focus. I squeezed the trigger repeatedly. Bullets chased the hog as it tried to slip behind the tree for cover, but it was too late. Finally, the beast dropped. A spectacular trophy and a promising start to the day. Following fresh signs, we moved to another area. Ahead was an open clearing, the perfect stage for decisive shots. Wild hogs have incredibly sharp hearing and smell, so we kept a safe distance, never facing them head on unless we were sure of our shot. Minutes later, a sounder of hogs crossed the clearing. I decided to take the last one, slightly separated from the group. Locking my aim, I gently squeezed the trigger. The hog was hit, but survival instinct kicked in, and it bolted deep into the woods. As the day cooled, wild hogs became more active. We switched tactics, setting up an ambush near a preset automatic feeder. This method saves energy, cuts down noise, and gets us within ideal shooting range. Hidden inside a hunting blind, we waited patiently. Soon, a few hogs cautiously approached. I held my fire until one stepped into range. Then, the shot rang out. The hog dropped immediately. My teammate radioed that hogs were showing up at the eastern feeder. We moved quickly to the spot. There it was! I waited for it to get closer, just a bit more. Boom! The moment it paused, I fired, clean and precise. Shooting a stationary hog maximizes the chance of an instant takedown, saving ammo and keeping the area calm. Not long after, another hog approached the feeder. Holding my breath, I took the shot. The loud crack echoed and the beast collapsed onto the ground. Just as we were about to pack up, another sounder arrived at the feeder. We knew this was our last chance of the day. The moment one stepped into my sight, I made a quick, decisive shot. The hog dropped, and the rest scattered into the night. We headed back in the Jeep Wrangler, the truck bed loaded with trophies, especially that giant over 400-pound beast. The joy wasn't just in the successful hunt, but in knowing that tonight, the villagers' fields would finally be safe again. They'll be grateful for that. Every year, millions of wild boars wreak havoc on crops and threaten the ecosystems across America's vast plains. Instead of silently stalking through the woods like traditional hunting, my team has taken to the skies, hunting boars by helicopter. From above, we not only spot and approach targets quickly, but embark on a challenging journey, a thrilling adventure that breaks all the boundaries of conventional hunting. This is how we turn wild boar hunting into a battle of wits and skill, not just a chase after prey. Around 4 p.m., we took off under the blazing sun. The helicopter roared like a beast, soaring straight ahead. From the sky, everything was clear. No cover, no hiding spots. The roar of engines sent the wild boars into a panic, charging to escape. The pilot dropped altitude, the target perfectly framed at an ideal range. My team and I squeezed the triggers in unison. Bullets rained down like thunder. The wild boar fell on the dry, grassy plains. A clean victory to kick off a smooth and successful hunt. The helicopter kept circling, hunting for the prey below. The moment it tilted in midair, I had to summon every ounce of calm to line up the perfect shot. Finger squeezed the trigger, and the bullet flew through the sky, striking dead on the fleeing beast. But there were still shadows slipping away. I signaled the pilot to give chase, determined not to let a single one escape our sight. Aiming from above is the ultimate challenge of marksmanship, where every factor like vibration, wind, and speed works against you. Only true sharpshooters have the guts to turn chaos into absolute precision. Tracking every move of the target, I adjusted my stance to unleash the perfect shot. The heavy beast fell, a testament to skill honed through countless encounters on the razor's edge between failure and victory. Suddenly, the neighboring forest shook as a massive herd of wild boars poured in. Without hesitation, we charged into the eye of the storm, seizing every moment to ignite a fierce battle. These boars weren't easy to break. They scattered everywhere, constantly changing direction, making shots much tougher. But my pilot buddy and I had been through this countless times. With seamless teamwork, we tracked their movements and unleashed precise shots. In a matter of seconds, many were down, ending their destructive rampage. The helicopter continued sweeping the area a few hundred meters away, ready for the next hunt. We skimmed just above the treetops, eyes sharp on every bush. The wild boars were in full panic, scattering wildly, no longer moving as a herd. Determined not to give them a chance to escape, I squeezed the trigger with conviction. Each shot rang out like an uncompromising declaration of war. Before long, many had fallen, bringing the intense chase to an end. The wild boars scattered in all directions, like waves searching for a way to escape. We tracked their paths closely, mobilizing every resource to give chase. Everyone pushed hard, determined to wipe out these relentless destroyers. Because we knew this was more than just a hunt. It was a statement of total control between the sky and the ground. The fields of central Turkey are groaning under the relentless havoc wreaked by a rampaging wild boar pack, and the helpless cries of the farmers are their most urgent plea for help. Just last night, an entire cornfield was torn apart in a matter of hours. Desperate, the farmers called for aid, and that's why we're heading out today. James's team is on the move, not just to hunt, but to restore peace and order. So buckle up, get ready, and join us as we step into this heart-pounding showdown. We quickly deployed into smaller teams. After finalizing the battle plan, we released the hunting dogs, turning them into the sharp spearhead charging straight into enemy territory. The echoing bark signaled that the hunt was officially underway. Early morning, near the fields by the asphalt road, a signal from David's team warned that the prey was heading toward James. And there it was. The massive beast charged out, fierce and disoriented after being cornered. Without hesitation, James raised his rifle, held his breath, and squeezed the trigger. Boom! It was over in an instant. With a creature this cunning and reckless, the chance comes only once. Hesitation is not an option. We moved on to a freshly plowed field. Thanks to the skillful encirclement by the hunting dogs, the wild boar were herded into carefully chosen open spots, leaving them with nowhere to run. In a decisive moment, both James and I fired simultaneously, taking down two big healthy boars in an instant. It's the perfect blend of cool-headed strategy, steady shooting, and the 4 swift legs plus keen noses of our battle-hardened hounds that unlocks success. Now, isn't that a flawless team effort, folks? After a midday break to recharge the team's energy, we resumed moving across the fields, tracking down the troublemaker. And there it was. The old wild boar appeared. Old boars never blindly follow the herd. They use the chaos to slip away and wait for their moment. But facing an experienced hunter like me, there was no other outcome. 2 shots rang out. Order restored swiftly, cleanly, with no wasted moves. For us, everything only truly ends when nothing is left behind. With the last enemy on this field down, on our way back, we received word that the wild boar pack had appeared in the western fields, threatening the villagers' corn crops. In such vast terrain, there was only one solution. The next morning, the helicopter piloted by James roared to life, lifting us into the sky, heading straight ahead. While patrolling from the air, James spotted the wild boar trying to make a run for it. On this open terrain, they lose their biggest advantage, cover and hiding, but their speed becomes a deadly weapon. Still, James and the team never flinched. From the cockpit, James tilted his rifle and rat-a-tat-tat! The burst of shots echoed. The beast faltered, then dropped right beneath the helicopter's view. James took down the prey in the blink of an eye. If you enjoyed this moment, don't forget to hit that like for us. Just breathed a sigh of relief, but experience tells us that when you see one, the whole pack is never far behind. The earlier excitement quickly turned into sharp focus. Every gunshot rang out to restore order once again. The greatest feeling isn't just taking down the prey, but knowing that tonight, the villagers can finally sleep peacefully, without fear of their cornfields and cassava patches being destroyed. Fading sunlight marked our last chance to clean up the remnants. The ambush was drawing to a close. From the cockpit, my teammates' intense focus paired perfectly with my precise maneuvering. With each burst of fire, one by one, the threats fell. The wild boar pack would no longer have any chance to terrorize the villagers. Watching James take decisive action under such tough conditions, I couldn't help but admire him silently. True mastery isn't just about handling the hard tasks, but making the hardest look effortlessly simple. Nightfall returned the silence to the fields, and our mission was complete. Order was restored, and the farmers could rest easy knowing their harvest was safe. The Land Rover Defender rumbled quietly away, carrying the day's hard-earned rewards of these silent guardians. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss our next Highland hunt. We promise plenty more heart-pounding moments ahead. Central Florida backcountry, where the thick palm forests and muddy wetlands create the perfect battleground for wild hogs to run rampant. These beasts multiply fast, invading gardens, wrecking irrigation systems, and leaving heavy damage in their wake. Faced with the threat of losing entire crops, landowners turn to us, hoping to reclaim their land from this invasion. A challenging hunt lies ahead. Join us as we embark on this heart-pounding pursuit. Before dawn fully breaks, our truck quietly rolls toward the forest where the wild hogs usually begin their destruction. With seasoned experience, we know their habits and active hours inside out. Every detail is meticulously planned, each step, each breath, carefully measured as we move into ambush positions. Minutes later, the target reveals itself. Steady on the bead, I squeeze the trigger. Quick, clean, decisive. The beast drops instantly. That opening shot, dead on, fuels our resolve to restore peace to this land. We press silently deeper into the forest, tracking fresh hog prints in the damp earth. Not a sound escapes as the team locks onto the trail, eyes sharp, scanning every palm thicket and shadowed nook. There it is, I whisper. Like muscle memory, I raise my rifle, line up the shot. The gun cracks, a clean hit, and the hog falls on the spot. Elsewhere, Kevin skillfully sets bait to lure the herd into view, choosing an ambush point with clear sightlines. As the hogs gorge, he quietly takes aim at the biggest one. A shot rings out, the target drops, and chaos erupts among the rest. Seeing Kevin's tactic work so well, we quickly expand our trap network and split up to cover key spots. This section is ours to protect. Once again, hogs fall into our traps, and with swift, decisive shots, we neutralize more threats, helping preserve this land from destruction. Meanwhile, at a frequent hog crossing, Kevin's crew stands ready. The moment targets appear, a precise shot drops one. The rest panic and bolt, but every escape route is blocked. Ready rifles cut off their getaway, ending their desperate flight. Following tracks, Kevin freezes, spotting a large gathering of hogs. Without hesitation, he fires, taking down one beast. Quick on the reload, he tries to press the attack, but the herd outsmarts us, slipping deep into the woods. Determining the direction, Kevin signals us to move deeper into the dense jungle where the hogs vanished. The tangled terrain and thick brush make tracking nearly impossible, if not for our hunting dogs. Guided by the dog's barks, suddenly, a giant hog bursts out. Instinct kicks in, finger tightens on the trigger. The beast drops cold. Pushing through dense palms, we hunt down the survivors hiding nearby. More sharp shots ring out, each one a message. This land is no longer safe ground for wild hogs. This time of year, wild boars come out in droves, hungry, wary, and dangerously aggressive. When we spotted fresh tracks near the edge of the garden, a wave of fear swept over us. I didn't hesitate. I immediately called Finn's hunting team. This needed swift action before the boars decided to charge into the village. Every step into the forest had to be taken with care. Ahead of us could be a pair of wild eyes waiting to strike. This hunt wasn't just a challenge, it was about our safety. Before first light, the roar of engines echoed down the forest road. Finn's team pushed forward with purpose. They knew this land like the back of their hand. Only minutes into the hunt, they picked up on something. An unusual sound, a familiar musky scent. It was Boar. Finn took aim with precision. One thunderous shot rang out, stopping the beast dead in its tracks. That shot didn't just end the chase. It was a warning, a declaration that this forest wouldn't fall prey to savage destruction. The hunters had drawn a line. Deeper into the forest, I found Finn's team locked in, eyes sharp and alert. Moments later, the underbrush rustled, and that unmistakable scent hit hard. The boars were close. A gunshot tore through the stillness. The herd scattered, but Finn's rifle found its mark. Boar after boar dropped in place. In the blink of an eye, the immediate threat was neutralized. For now, this part of the woods was safe. But the chaos was far from over. The gunfire had spooked the boars. They were pouring out from everywhere. I braced myself for an all-out clash, but Finn didn't panic. Instead, he slowed his breathing, tracked every movement with laser focus. Then, in a split second, the perfect moment came. A second wave of precise gunfire brought down every single one of them. Finn's patience and discipline turned the tide. It was a masterclass in calculated control. Out of nowhere, Finn led his team deeper into the forest. Before I could ask why, I realized we were setting a trap. Silent, ready. Even the craftiest of beasts wouldn't expect what was waiting for them. Each gunshot was a turning point. One by one, the threat was eliminated before the animals even realized they were caught. It was surgical, brilliant, lethal. While Finn was locked in the fight, I caught sight of a second group of boars flanking us from the left. Without hesitation, I alerted Jack. He'd already been stationed there in silence, waiting. Minutes later, Jack confirmed the target. A single clean shot. Then, another. The flank was secured. Every move had been calculated. Finn's team didn't leave a single threat unchecked. Quick, precise, and ruthless when necessary. I couldn't help but admire it. Just when we thought it was over, those familiar shadows reappeared, quiet, cautious. I barely had time to react before Finn's tracking system lit up with a warning. In perfect sync, the team moved. Within seconds, the boars were intercepted, stopped cold before they could cause harm. After hours of tension, sweat, and relentless pursuit, we'd done it. The results exceeded expectations. Every drop of sweat, every silent footstep had earned this victory. This wasn't luck. It was the price of discipline, endurance, and unshakable resolve.